Before we jump into today's show, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. The autumn cohorts for Start Your Podcast group program are now open. There are 5 dates between September and October, and it's a 6-week program that will get you launched before Christmas. So if podcasting was on your to-do list this year, if you really want to get your podcast up and done by the end of 2023, then come and join me for one of those cohorts and let's make it happen. I have a free masterclass available for you called Understanding the Power of Podcasting. You can go over to donnaeade.com/masterclass, watch the masterclass and get access to that enrollment. I hope to see you in one of the autumn cohorts very soon. That's donnaeade.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the show. You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are a UK wedding professional looking to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and CEO at the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. If you want to grow and streamline your business, this is the podcast for you. Make sure you hit subscribe where you listen or join our email list at www.spwv.co.uk. You'll find the sign up form at the bottom of every episode, and by doing so, you won't miss a thing. So let's jump into today's show. Today's show, we have Caz Wilson. She is a social media strategist who helps hundreds of female entrepreneurs grow an aligned audience of paying clients and effectively scale their business via social media and Facebook ads. She is the co-host of the Success Recipes podcast, and I am so grateful to have her on the show today. Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Caz. I'm so excited to have you here. You are, I believe, our first international podcast guest. So welcome.
Hi, Donna. It's such a pleasure to be here. That's very exciting. Although I'm originally from the UK, I'm now based in Vegas. So that's exciting if I am the first international guest.
It is. And I thought that when I thought about it earlier, I was just like, well, she is a UK born person, but you know, we'll just scrap that. You're over in America now. So, and the accent is definitely American rather than English. So you definitely kind of lost the English twang, although I don't think we call it an English twang, do we? It's an American twang.
It can come back. Sometimes after a couple of wines, it comes back. Or sometimes just when I've been talking to my mum, or my mum's here, or sometimes when I get around Brits, then it does come back. So yeah, it might come back this interview.
It might. It's inbred there. I think it really is. And I'm one of these people that can pick up accents really easily as well. So if I'm around my Welsh cousins, I start to get a Welsh lilt, and I'm not Welsh.
Right.
I was born and bred in England, but I always say I'm United Kingdomish because all of my 4 grandparents come from a different country in the UK.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's a great heritage.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to do one of those 23andMe DNA tests, see where the background comes from and stuff. So that'd be exciting to see.
Yeah,
be interesting for your children to do, or their grandchildren, because obviously England would come up, and then all of the back from that would come up, and they'd be like, but we've been in America forever.
Yeah, it would. And then actually my husband is from New Zealand too. So that would be interesting. Yeah, because they've all cut, that they're all Brit transplants. So yeah, it would be
very international children then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would be a bit confusing for a poor thing, but
it'll
be right.
But we are not here to talk about our heritage. We are not. Caz is an expert in social media strategy, so I have brought her on to talk to us about that. I have spoken quite a lot on the podcast about social media because I feel it's a very big part of our marketing and how we put ourselves out there in front of our clients. But I am not an expert. I like to think I'm an expert in consistency. I am very consistent with my social media, and I have played with it, and people may have noticed on my social media I've changed it up a little bit recently, testing things. But you are the expert, Caz. So tell us a little bit about you and your business, what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in digital marketing a little over 10 years, but I've been working for myself. It will actually have just been 3 months in May. I'm sorry, not 3 months. No, 3 years. I'm sorry, 3 years in May. So
It's
I've
flown
been,
by.
yeah, it's gone by so fast. So yeah, it's crazy to think. So I actually set up my business on the side of a horrific corporate job here in Las Vegas. I was just super miserable and I knew I wanted to do my own thing and give back and help people, basically help women, especially create jobs that they love and leave ones that they hate. So in that sense, I've been working with entrepreneurs to scale and grow not only their organic social media, but their paid as well. So I've seen a lot, and I've worked with definitely some wedding pros, some in the wellness space, definitely run the gamut of things. But yeah, I think you saying that you're consistent with your social media is definitely one of the hardest hurdles to jump, because that is a big question I get. How do you be consistent with your social media? So I think you should definitely give yourself a pat on the back that you are being consistent.
Yeah, it is hard. And if you fall off the wagon, it's hard to get back on it and catch up, as it were, especially if you're in multiple places. Right. I've done a bit of testing recently. I've decided that LinkedIn isn't a place that I need to be focused on. So I spent a good sort of 4 to 6 months really focused on making sure my presence on LinkedIn was there, posting every day, engaging with people, commenting on other people's posts, making sure that there is business posts going on my business page as well as on my personal page, and all of that. 3-4 months, and I just didn't see any kind of return on it. So I decided, well, obviously my audience isn't on LinkedIn, so I'm not going to waste my time there anymore, which has freed me up to spend more time in places where I believe my audience is spending their time. So I feel like that's a good learning curve, and you can't always find these things out unless you test it. So I don't see it as like a waste of time. It's certainly good to have a presence on LinkedIn, and I do still add sort of a couple of posts a week. They're just sort of carbon copies of what I'm posting elsewhere, so it doesn't take much effort, but it is difficult to keep consistency going.
Yeah, it is challenging. And that's another question I get too. What platform should I be on? And I think what you did is exactly the right thing you should do. You should pick something that you think your audience is on, but also that you like. Like, I can't say to people, oh, go to YouTube, and they hate recording video. It's just not going to work. So it's got to be a marriage of where your people are at and the platform that you like and you're going to be most consistent on. And then, like you did, trial it for 3 to 6 months, see what happens. If absolutely zero things happen and you just are not feeling that it's the place for you, then you've got to just sort of leave and move on. But I think another common mistake that people make is they try to be everywhere. They're trying to do everything. They're going to try and be on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Clubhouse, all of them, all at the same time. And it's just a recipe for disaster too. I think what you did to go all in on one, possibly two, is a good strategy to do for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I thought we could talk about in this time we have together is what sort of tips and tricks you can give us that are working right now on social media. We've just had that iOS update, which has thrown a lot of people through a loop, has panicked them over ads and things like that. And maybe we can touch on that. But I thought maybe you could talk us through sort of 3 things that you think that we should be doing on social media right now to help us reach our audience.
Yeah, so I think definitely number 1, pick 1 or 2 platforms. So we've kind of touched on that. Go all in. They say if you try and catch 2 rabbits, you don't catch any. And it's a similar kind of thing. If you go all in on one, then you are successful. Instagram is still just really hot right now. I think with Instagram, what you want to really make sure you're doing is not only posting consistently, but using the breadth of the different types of posts. So the main feed, stories, reels. I know people kind of groan when I say about using reels, because they are a bit of it's a bit of much for us to get our head around. I think people think we've got to dance around like we do on TikTok. That's not necessarily the case. You can just do a simple reel. You can do a reel where you don't even show yourself, just like maybe it's just like snippets of you just doing things in your business, and then using a really simple software. My favorite for editing reels is called InShot. It's an app. You can use the free version. It works just fine. And just slipping that up in a little editor is a really good way to do that. But yeah, so first of all, go all in on a platform. Number 2, be consistent. And then and with the consistency, when people ask gurus and whatnot, like, how do you be consistent? They always say, for the most part, oh, you need to batch your content. And that's great. And it's a great answer. And if that's your thing, then that's awesome. But I come across people who they don't want to batch. They don't like batching. It doesn't work for them. So one of the things I say, pick some themes. I mean, that's a good way to go. If you jot down, 4 or 5 things you can talk about. So one really has to be your business, but then maybe you have a passion for coffee or tea, or you really love where you live, or you have a really cute dog or something. Just adding something else so that your social media isn't just like, hi, it's my business. This is what I'm selling. This is my thing. It just adds a bit more depth, and people can kind of remember you for something else that's other than just your business. So the themes is a good sort of one to go to and one to think about.
I think that's a good idea. I do that with mine. I have themed days of the week. So I will of do on Monday, I put up a motivational quote. It's a motivation Monday, and that's always it. On Tuesdays, I do tips for couples. On Wednesdays, I do a tip for the wedding industry. On Thursdays is my podcast day, and Fridays is a TGI Friday post. And it's a little bit more, fun. And I'm always sharing pictures of my cats as well. So
that's awesome. And I think that's a nice framework for you to work in. And it's going to answer, when you are stuck and you don't know what to post, that is going to guide that in a good way. And so help you be more consistent. And then, my third tip would be, don't be scared of paid ads. With the iOS update, there has been some changes, no doubt. But I think I don't think really understood what exactly it was going to affect. So the iOS update, what it means is that now Facebook and Instagram and all these other apps, not just in Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, I've seen the notice on Pinterest, Twitter, Etsy, I stream some shows, some trashy kind of Real Housewife shows, and I watch them on my phone. That app now cannot track. But what it cannot track is me leaving the app and going on my phone. So I have an iPhone, or going on Safari and browsing the internet. That is what it cannot track. It can still track you in the app. It can track what you're looking at. It can track what you're interacting with. It just cannot track your activity off the app. So it does have implications for retargeting. So if you've done strategies where you've been retargeting people that have, come to your website and then you want to get them on their phone, that's an implication. But the other thing to consider is we're not on our phones 24/7. Like, I would say I'm on my phone a lot, don't get me wrong, but I'm also on my computer. So Facebook and Instagram can still track my behavior on my desktop, So, and then what I've noticed is that it will track my behavior on my desktop and then retarget me through my phone because it knows what I did on my desktop. So it's all a bit technical. It's all a bit techy. I think ads are still fine. A lot of people are blaming their rubbish ad campaigns on this update, but maybe you just had rubbish ad.
Bad ad, yeah. So if I'm understanding it right now, please do correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm thinking. But does that mean if you were to have an ad that was set up with the specific result being that you wanted somebody to go and like your page, that you could then retarget that those people could be tracked because they're staying in the app and they're liking your page, and that's the purpose of it? Whereas if you were asking them to go to your website to download something, as soon as they come out of the app to go to your website, that's when Facebook then can't track them. Is that how 100%, it works?
100%. Because what's happened, a lot of people have opted out to not be tracked, but we're finding that people have not really understood what they've opted out of. So they think they're opting out of ads. And it's like, no, no. No, you're still going to see an ad. Sorry. But so you're right. So I have always, people turn their nose up when I say, if you want to grow your Facebook page, run some ads to grow it. But it's a strategy I stand by but understand that, like, it's not just going to be, you're going to grow your page and that's it. All good, goodbye. You're going to grow your page, but you're going to be able to retarget those people quite inexpensively with Facebook ads going forward. And actually, to be honest, I think Facebook is changing, at the time of recording this in the summer of 2021, they're changing. I am noticing a lot more pages in my feed than I ever have done. They seem to be a bit more looser now with the organic reach of pages. And there's some updates coming where they're going to try and make them a bit more like Instagram and be able to interact with other people's pages as your page. So I think trying to make business pages a lot more social. So if don't ignore Facebook. Facebook is still the biggest social media. It still is a good place. Sure, the young'uns aren't there, but you've got to think, who's your target market? Are they using Facebook? And if the answer is yes, it's not something you should just write off and forget about.
And brides and couples in general do spend quite a bit of time when they're doing wedding stuff on Facebook. Right. There are so many bride groups, so many wedding groups. So there is a lot of opportunity, especially on Facebook, to get them to do something. So if you can interact with it, if you can run a cheap ad to get likes on your page, and you can target it for, getting engaged couples that have been engaged in the last 6 months, a year, people that have been together for a long time, whatever. You can target those people, ask them to like your page, and then once you've got them on the important thing is always to make sure you've got the next step ready. It's no good if they just go like your page and then that's it.
Right.
They need to be able to go to your page and, the pinned post is here's my free download to help you plan your wedding or plan your wedding photography or, decide how to choose your wedding, whatever it is, have something there that they can take action on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like Caz was saying, you can then retarget people who like your page and people like them. So then it expands your audience again, and you've got more chance of then getting results with any ads that you run outside of that, which I think is really useful and something that I hadn't really thought about until we'd spoken about it. So yeah, handy tip there.
Yeah, life events, like Facebook knows fast. Like when I got pregnant, even I think before I told anyone, Facebook was like, "Oh, we know you're pregnant. Here you go. Here's all your baby ads." They're very fast with their, and it's a common thing when you get engaged to flip your status. Well, congratulations, you're going to get inundated with all the wedding ads out under the sun. They know then. So you can't really get more targeted than that. So I think for this industry, ads are a really good consideration. And, one of the things I mentioned in the training I did in your membership was like, you don't have to, I'm not talking spend $5,000 a month or £5,000 a month. You can just run a really conservative campaign. Think about a budget of £100, £150, and use that for something. And as long as you've set it up right and you've got your targeting and it's a good ad, you will see return and you will be able to grow an audience with it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I think with the social media on Instagram is where I feel like wedding people hang out most.
For sure.
Like not, the couples tend to hang out more on Facebook, in the Facebook groups and things like that. You see them in there more, but the wedding industry itself loves Instagrams because it's visual and they can share their images and they can share what they're doing. And I see so many wedding vendors on Instagram. It's a great place to be, but you just have to be careful to make sure that the effort that you're putting into your social media is actually giving you a return on your investment. And sometimes I think it can be, we've got to get away from the vanity metrics of, I've got 3,000 followers on Instagram, so I'll spend all my time there because that's where most of my followers are. If those followers aren't actually engaging in what you're doing and aren't actually clicking on things or asking you questions or responding to anything, then those 3,000 followers don't mean anything. So.
No, exactly. Yeah. You've got to attract the right people, and it is easy, I don't know what it is about, likes and number of this and number of that. And people are attracted to it. You hear stories of, I grew this like this and I grew that like that. But yeah, you've got to really make sure it's more a case. You're better off with a smaller amount of very engaged people than you are ever a larger amount of non-engaged people. But I think the thing you've got to remember is striking up a conversation and interacting, not ignoring these people, making it a two-way dialogue as opposed to thinking of your social media like a billboard, It's not a billboard. It's a sort of, you've invited people to your home. It's a little like party in a way,
Yeah, I do indeed. I wondered if you could tell us what your top tips for housekeeping with your social media are. So I've heard different things from different people about how many hashtags you should use on each of the platforms. Links, that's a big thing that I've heard recently, that you shouldn't be putting links in your posts because that gets it pushed down and things like that. So I just wondered if from an expert, what your knowledge is on that, what you've sort of seen going on with those things, and what your tips are there.
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of a shake-up with hashtags. Yeah, used to be a thing in Instagram where you put a hashtag on your story, and then you could get more visibility, and it could sort of be shown in like a aggregated hashtag story. That's now not a thing. And I see people post reels without hashtag. I still say use them for sure. Obviously you can use 30. And one of my favorite tools for hashtags is called Flick. I believe they're based in the UK, Flick Tech. You just search Flick hashtag tool, and it's a really good, you can do a 7-day trial and just do all your research, or I think it's quite inexpensive. I think you pay like £10 a month or something, and you search, it does all your hashtag work for you. So you search a hashtag and it's going to give you suggestions. It's going to label them as like most competitive versus least competitive, because you don't want to put hashtags where like the 50 million posts are. There's no point. You won't get seen. So you want to just sort of mix it up a bit. Go for the sort of medium and low competitor kind of hashtags, and then sprinkle in a little bit of the high ones, because, but I don't think they are as strong. I don't think that's the way. I think with Instagram, it's a combination. You've got to really think about doing reels at least once a week, and then the outward engagement. So spending, however long you have, 10, 20 minutes a day, maybe hiring like a cousin who is bored over the summer to do this for you, but going to other profiles and interacting with them in the attempt to start a conversation and have them come check out your feed and follow you. That by far is the best thing working in terms of, and then as well, you want to make sure you've got a really good link set up in your Instagram. So it's no good really just having like a homepage. You can do something like a link tree, or you can create, my favorite thing is to create a page on your website that's mobile optimized, so that, because sometimes Linktree goes down. It's a good idea just to have it be on your website, as opposed to rely on a third party software. And so make sure that is linking to what you want people to do. Ideally, it should maybe have a little bit about you, and then a couple of things. I've seen people do this where they have like 20 links. I'm just like, well, have you got so many links in your Linktree? I would say 6 to 5, 5 or less. I think it becomes a bit overwhelming, because you're like, oh, link in my bio, and then there's so many links, and people don't know where to go.
They've got to scroll for it. They're not going to scroll for it. That's what I'm always swapping mine around. I do use Linktree, but I do want to get a page on my website for it. But with Linktree, it's like, I'm always like, I put the most recent podcast is usually at the top, and then if I've got a freebie, that's kind of the next one, and then they kind of go down in order of importance, and then I might move one up at some point, because maybe I talk about my freebie in the podcast, so I'll move that up to the top so they can go straight to that. They don't have to go to the podcast to get the link to it, and they can get it straight away, and I move them around, but I try and keep it so that only the two least important are those ones that are under the scroll, so they've got to scroll to get to them. But if they've got to keep scrolling, and it was like a post, perhaps it was a post that you put up like 3 months ago, and somebody for some reason has seen it, and they go to your link in bio, they're probably not going to find that link in my bio anymore, because but I always put the link in my comments as well. Like I always write it out, so that if it's not in my bio, they can go and type it out into a URL if they want to. It still frustrates me that Instagram, you can't copy the text. You can't highlight text to copy. That frustrates me.
Yeah, they really don't want you to leave that platform, and it is frustrating. It's frustrating too. Yeah, for us digital service and providers and product people, whereas physical products, you can shop them on Instagram, you can pay, you can do all that stuff. Digital, you can't. You got to send them somewhere, because you won't let us sell on your platform. So it is, that part is frustrating. In terms of the links from Facebook, I know what you're talking about. There was this whole thing, if you put the link in your Facebook, page, Facebook's not going to like it. I don't know. I always do, because you can, and I've not noticed a massive drop. When I do it for clients, they say, oh yeah, I'm getting those traffic from Facebook. This is great. So because you can, I think it's fine. Obviously these platforms, their goal is to keep you on the platform, but you know, they do funny things to that. I don't think live video on Facebook has the reach it used to. For some reason, it's dropped off. I don't know why. I have somebody I'm working with. She's doing a challenge right now. She's going live every day. And I have notifications turned on her page. I'm not even getting a notification. I don't know why. It's bizarre. And it's not, you know, nothing she's done. She literally did the same challenge last year and it was great and she had loads of views. This year, not that many. It's just one of those things. These platforms change and they have different agendas, and they'll flip a switch and they'll see what's going and what's not going and how it's rolling, and you've got to just sort of understand where they're going. Like Instagram's all about reels right now, so you can ride the reel wave. I'm sure at some point they'll decide they don't want to focus on that, but for now you just ride what's working and do that and go from there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I have tried it doing the what I was told about it when I was on LinkedIn. A guy that's a LinkedIn expert said, you know, stop putting your link in the post because LinkedIn don't like it, put it in the comments. And he said it's the same for Facebook. So I started doing that. And I just find that then nobody goes to the comments. For a start, you can't pin a comment. No. So, you know, as soon as somebody else comments, your comments moved in LinkedIn. And then in Facebook, what Facebook are doing is horrible right now, is that you can't see all of the comments. No. So you can, like, I literally get a notification. Somebody has commented, like replied to your comment in this post, and you click on it, it opens up the post. It's got loads of comments, but your comment isn't there. And when you click see, it's not, it doesn't show you them all. It's like the most popular, the most, you know, these comments, those comments, and you can't find your own darn comment that it's given you a notification for. I'm like, this is insane. So frustrating. Yeah. So if you put your link in the comments, then, you know, if somebody else comes on and makes a comment and you reply back, and then somebody else replies and they end up in that thread because, you know, they haven't focused on then that comment becomes the most relevant, important comment to Facebook. Right. And then your link doesn't get seen. It's crazy.
No, I wouldn't worry about doing that. Yeah, I would either put a link or not put a link. You know, Pinterest gets it, right? They get it. They're like, no, we're just a funnel to shove you off to your traffic, and they know that. They're cool with that. That's how they roll. They understand. But Facebook and Instagram and Facebook, you know, group companies have just always been like, no, we want to keep you on here. But I think there is a bit of a turn going. Clubhouse, which was the social media darling like a few months ago, now seems to have not been so much. They were very, you know, they had no interest by the looks of it of creating like any way for anyone to communicate with each other. So everyone was just like, right, go off of here, go onto Instagram, find me on Instagram, send me a DM. And it's like, oh, but that's what they wanted to do. I guess, you know, they were like, no, we don't want to do that. We just want to focus on our core audio room situation. They didn't want to create like a messaging platform, and that's fine. But yeah, but I don't know. It's a difficult one. Facebook, I felt like we're going all in with their groups, and now I feel like they've pulled back a bit on that. So you just have to kind of understand, but understand too that your ads will, for the most part, until, you know, Apple decides something, but for the most part, your ads will weather all these changes because that's their revenue, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you haven't got a marketing budget for Facebook ads, and Facebook ads also go to Instagram, then I would definitely look at considering it. And we haven't really dived into Pinterest much, because Pinterest isn't a social media platform. Pinterest is a search engine. But it is a great search engine for wedding vendors to use because its purpose is a search engine. So if you can get your keywords right and you can get your pins ranking in Pinterest, then people who are, and couples do like to go and create mood boards and things like that of all the big dreams. Like women will pin wedding boards before they've even got engaged. One
yeah.
of them right here. So, and then when we do get engaged, we're going to be heading to those boards and going, oh, what did I like? What did I like? And, so you could have had a pin that you put up like 2 years ago and somebody might actually get to you. Not that you'd necessarily be able to track it, but they might get to you through that pin that you did years ago. So Pinterest, I think, for the wedding industry is a very good platform to use for that purpose as a search engine tool. So, but that was so good, Caz. I'm so appreciative of you coming. Now, I do know that you have a little bundle that you'd like to share with my audience. So how about you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so my most recent bundle is the Build Your Buying Audience bundle. So this basically solves the problem of how do I build an audience of engaged customers. It's going to talk to you about, it's going to basically teach you paid strategy, really simple paid strategy, and a really simple organic strategy. And in there as well are 120 posts for you just to take and use. They're sort of very engaging posts. They can be used for any industry. They'll work great for the wedding industry. They're just black and white. You can either take the posts and just run them on Facebook, Instagram, and your Instagram stories, or you can use them as ideas and create your own. So you can go and pick that up at buildyourbuyingaudience.com. It's $27. It's super affordable, and it's just going to help. It's going to be a great resource for your social media for the next 60 days.
Fantastic. I will pop that link into the show notes, guys. So do head over to the podcast on the website and you'll be able to get a link directly to that. And I hope you will take Caz up on our offer. She did a fantastic masterclass for us in the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. And we all really enjoyed that. So that masterclass is there as well for members. So do head over and take a look at that. Thank you so much for coming on today, Caz. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Donna. It's been a pleasure.
That's it for today's show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks again to Caz for coming on. Do check out the show notes to find all the details of how to connect with her and to grab that bundle that she mentioned. It's over at www.spwv.co.uk. Head to the menu and go to the Wedding Procast UK. Don't forget to hit subscribe where you listen or join our mailing list at the bottom of every episode on our website. You'll be able to join the mailing list so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.